If you ever needed proof that size doesn't matter, look no further than the Porsche 550 Spyder. In an era when race cars were hulking, fire-breathing monsters stuffed with brawny V8s and straight sixes, Porsche came along with what looked like a glorified toy car, and made everyone else look like amateurs. This wasn't just some plucky little roadster. This was a mid-engine, featherweight missile that could outrun cars with twice the power, and make it look effortless. This thing wasn't just fast, it was a motorsports revolution. You see, Porsche was a young company in the early 1950s, barely out of the shadow of World War II. Their first proper production car, the 356, had proven itself as a nimble, well-balanced machine. But it wasn't a purebred racer. Ferry Porsche, son of the company's founder, knew that to truly establish the brand, Porsche needed a dedicated racing car. Something light, something small, and something utterly mad. That's where Walter Gawker enters the picture, an independent Porsche dealer, an amateur racer who believed the 356 could be competition-ready. He'd already built a few experimental mid-engine cars using Porsche's running gear, and in 1952, Porsche took notice. Instead of tweaking a 356, they went all in, and developed something entirely new. The result? The 550, a machine engineered from the ground up to be a racing thoroughbred. Now the 550 Spyder was built with one thing in mind: weight reduction. While American and Italian race cars piled on displacement like someone stuffing their plate at an all-you-can-eat buffet, Porsche went the other way. They didn't just keep it small, they built one of the most perfectly balanced cars the racing world had ever seen. Underneath that swoopy aluminum bodywork sat a space-frame chassis designed to be strong and lightweight. It was the first Porsche with a mid-engine layout, power plant nestled just behind the driver for ideal weight distribution. And it was the first Porsche to get Ernst Fuhrmann's now legendary Type 547 4-cam engine, a 1.5L flat 4 that made between 110 and 135 horsepower, depending on the trim. Now that might not sound like much, but when the car only weighed 550 kilograms, it was more than enough. By the way, that's where the car got its name. The suspension? Fully independent. The brakes? Drum brakes, yeah, but back then, everyone was using them, so we'll let it slide. What really mattered was how it handled: agile, precise, and perfectly suited for the kind of endurance racing Porsche was about to conquer. The 550 Spyder made its racing debut at the Nürburgring in 1953, where Helmut Glockler promptly won his class in appalling weather. It was like watching a featherweight boxer knock out a heavyweight in round one. But that was just the beginning. A month later, the 550-02 chassis took on the 12 hours in France. It retired due to mechanical failure, but Porsche wasn't discouraged. The real test? Le Mans, 1953. The 550 Spyder finished first in its class, and 15th overall. A solid achievement, but nothing compared to what happened in Mexico later that year. Porsche sent two 550s to the Carrera Panamericana, a brutal endurance race on Mexico's treacherous roads. One of them, driven by Hans Hermann, not only survived, but finished third overall, beating cars with twice the displacement and horsepower. That cemented the 550's reputation as a giant killer, and the term Carrera soon became synonymous with Porsche's fastest machines. Porsche kept refining the car. By 1955, they introduced the 550A, featuring a lighter, stronger chassis, improved aerodynamics, and a 135 horsepower version of the Type 547 engine. That year, at the Targa Florio, Alberto Maglioli drove a 550A Spyder to an overall victory, beating Ferrari, Maserati, and Mercedes-Benz. Not just a class win, a full-on win. This was Porsche saying, "We're not the underdogs anymore. We're here to dominate." But no discussion of the 550 Spyder is complete without its most infamous owner, James Dean. The Hollywood star bought a brand new 550 Spyder in 1955 and nicknamed it Little Bastard. He was a serious racing enthusiast, planning to enter the car in multiple competitions. But on September 30th, 1955, while driving to a race in California, Dean collided with a Ford Tudor on Route 466. The lightweight Porsche was obliterated. Dean was killed instantly. His tragic death cemented the 550's legend, and gave rise to tales of a supposed curse. After the crash, Little Bastard was taken to George Barris's shop in Los Angeles, and strange things started happening. While unloading the wreck, the car suddenly slipped and crushed a mechanic's legs. Then Barris sold off parts of the wreck. The engine went to racers Troy McHenry and William Eschard. In their first race with the parts installed, McHenry lost control, hit a tree, and died. Eschard survived, but suffered a serious crash. In another incident, a trailer transporting the 550 lost control. The driver was killed when Little Bastard fell off and crushed him. At one point, the California Highway Patrol borrowed the car for a road safety exhibit, but after several strange accidents, including the exhibit catching fire, they tried to return it, except they couldn't. In 1960, Little Bastard vanished. It was being transported in a sealed boxcar. The boxcar arrived, but the Porsche was gone. No records, no sightings, nothing. To this day, no one knows where it is. Some say it was hidden by a collector. Others say it was dismantled. Some believe it was destroyed, to rid the world of its curse. Now, whether you believe in curses or not, bad stuff sure seemed to happen around that car. Anyway, that was a bit of a side quest. Tangent over. Just thought it was interesting and had to mention it. So back to the 550. By the time production ended in 1956, only 90 Porsche 550 Spyders had been built. But the impact on motorsport was immeasurable. They proved you didn't need massive engines to win races, just intelligent engineering and fanatical weight saving. The 550's legacy laid the foundation for Porsche's future. The 718, the 904, and eventually the legendary 917 that finally brought Porsche an overall victory at Le Mans. Even today, Porsche's racing DNA still follows the principles born with the 550 Spyder. As for the car itself, surviving examples are priceless. In 2018, a 550A Spyder sold for $4.9 million at auction. But here's the thing, the 550 Spyder was never the most powerful, never the most intimidating, never the fastest in a straight line. What it did better than anything else was win. It outthought, outmaneuvered, and outlasted bigger, thirstier, more cumbersome machines. In a time when everyone believed bigger is better, the 550 Spyder was the race car equivalent of a scalpel in a world of sledgehammers. It was David going up against the grid of Goliath, and more often than not, it came out on top. That's why, 70 years after it first hit the track, the Porsche 550 Spyder remains one of the most legendary race cars of all time. But now I want to hear from you. What did you think of this video? And what do you think of this car, especially its story? Personally, I found it fascinating. That's why I made this video. But what about you? Drop a comment below. And if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.